Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to For the Love of Humankind. Again, my name is Jeff. You can follow me on social media. Instagram, this is Jay Cox. Twitter, JC with the shot. And you can also catch me on Twitch. I want to welcome you back to the second episode For the Love of Humankind. Um, and this week is a topic about life. I mean, this whole podcast is about life in some way, but I think that especially this week, I've had a lot to really think about, and we're going to get into that in this episode. Originally, I had other plans for this episode to start my two-part series about the book that I was writing, but life happens, things come up, and things change. And so we're going to talk about it in this episode. Uh, so, welcome. All right, y'all. As I said, episode two is a really huge focal point just on life. And, it's a weird life is a weird thing. We go through so many experiences in life, and um, we try to make money, we pay taxes, and then we die, right? Like that's what they always say life is, right? There are things that are inevitable in life, and that's um, taxes and death are the two that we somehow can't avoid. Um, which is really weird to think about. So, as I said in the intro, originally this episode was going to be part one of two about the book that I've been writing over the past few years. Um, but unfortunately, life took me a different path this week. Um, on Monday, I unfortunately found out that my grandfather passed. Um, and it's been a really hard week. This is the first family member that has been extremely close to me that has passed. I've had some close friends that have passed, but nothing quite hits you as hard when you have some in your life that you've known for as long as you can remember, with so many memories with, just suddenly not be here. Um, and so it's been really hard this week. Um, Trying to figure out and piece together what life really is, and what well, what I'm doing um, in my life. And the reason that I think it is so weird that I'm going to kind of start talking about, and then I'm going to kind of backtrack even before all of this, um, and really what my grandfather meant to me, and what the last year and a half has looked like, um, because it's been weird, and it took me until now to understand um, what I've been doing to myself um, in my own life, and how that's correlated to things outside of that and the experiences that I've had or haven't had. So fortunately, this is the weird part that I think is strange about this whole situation with losing my grandfather on Monday. That just seems to be like life has a funny way of having things work out. Um, so I haven't seen my grandparents in person um, since Christmas of 2019, right? So we entered 2020. Um, March hit. That's when everything really went down and shut down because of COVID, right? Um, so during COVID, because I work on a college campus, I really did not want to take the risk of going to see my grandparents, right? Like I felt like I was trying to be responsible and avoid any sort of opportunity for me to be able to get them sick. Um, Whether I'm not showing it or not, like I wanted to think about them because I know that they, you know, I don't know if they would have made it through COVID if they had it. And so I haven't seen them in person since 2019, which has been really hard because I moved back to Michigan to be closer to family. And that was the last time that I saw them. And that sucks. Like, that is one of the worst parts about this whole situation for me, is because I haven't been able to see them in person. Um, so that's been really tough. The second part is I had called my grandparents on Sunday. My grandma was you know, in the shower getting ready for the day, but I was able to talk to my grandpa and my aunt who lives with them. Um, and so it's weird because I don't call them often. I'll call them every once in a while when I'm like driving for a long period of time, or I'm just sitting around not doing anything. But it's weird because I just talked to him on Sunday, and we had just talked about me getting the second dose of the vaccine and finally being able to come over there and have dinner with them and spend some time with them, without me really having to worry about giving them COVID, from working on a college campus. And that's when how I find this so weird, because the last thing that we said to each other was that we loved each other. um and that's going to be one of the things that sticks in my mind for a long time. Literally one day everything seemed to be fine on Sunday, and then gone the next. And I don't know what that means. I don't know if that was life giving me an opportunity to be able to have that conversation and be able to talk to him one last time. Told myself I wasn't going to cry during this podcast, so I apologize if that happens. Um, but it's just crazy to me that we can have somebody in our life for so long and talk to somebody one day and then not be here the next. And that really got me thinking about where my life is at and where it's been, what I've been focusing my time and efforts on. Um, and it's really kind of been eye opening to me to really do some of that intrinsic, um, thinking, and do some of that focus on where my priorities have been. When I found out that it happened on Tuesday, I had a meeting, um, and the person I had a meeting with said, "Okay, make sure that you talk to you get in with your therapist this week." And my immediate thought wasn't to work with my therapist. I have a meeting with him next week, but my immediate thought was to go get tattooed. And I know that you all can't see that the amount of tattoos that I have, and for those of you that don't know me in real life or haven't, you know, been around my entertainment, if you will, um, wouldn't know that I have any tattoos. Like, they're all easily covered, and I think in the first episode of this podcast, I was wearing a hoodie or something. But before Tuesday, I had 17 tattoos. And then Tuesday, I went because it was like pain therapy is like how I deal with things. It's really weird, and I really started thinking about that. Like, anytime that I have been in pain in my life, like emotionally or mentally, I have gone and gotten a tattoo because it takes my mind away from what's happening. So I went and got 6 tattoos, on Tuesday. Um, you could probably argue that it was two because I got them in two different places. Like I got my hands done, and I'm going to talk about these shortly. But I also got one here, and the one here um, really reminded me of those that I appreciate the most in my life. Um, Granted, they're not the only people that I appreciate in my life, but they're a huge part of my life. So the tattoo here says Salo Felina, which, if you're fans of 21 Pilots, that'll sound familiar. If you're not, essentially, it means um, happiness. Like the lead singer Tyler Joseph writes about and talks about it. It's a way to just understand what's kind of going on and being able to find happiness in things that you're doing. And so I got this tattooed in the uh, handwriting of two of my best friends that have been through everything with me. Um, because when I lost my grandfather, when I thought about that, I was like, I really appreciate these two more than anything. And I truly do love them, and they're a huge part of my life, and I want them to be a part of my life for the rest of it. And it really made me think of holding those that we love close and not letting go. And it's been hard for me to reconcile this last year and a half um, with COVID being here and not being able to see my grandparents in person. Granted, as I think about that and think about, could I have done it? Absolutely. Could I have gone and seen them? Absolutely. But I didn't want to take the chance. And I think that's a big reason. But I also think there are other reasons that I didn't go, which I've noticed over the last few years that I've been streaming. That I've found myself to be more and more reclusive. Is that the word? Is that the word I want to use? Um, like I didn't want to go out much. Like all I wanted to do was play video games and stream. And I've noticed that that's been a trend. Like I have told people that I don't want to hang out. I have, been not necessarily silent, but I haven't texted people back because I'm streaming. Haven't put full effort into relationships because I've been streaming. But the people that I've invested the most in relationships with are the two that I've now have tattooed on my body forever. And I think about the relationship that we have, and I think about where it's been and where I've put my time and effort, and it's been content creation and it's been streaming, but it's also been building that relationship with the two of them. And so as I think about canceling on other people, not going to see people because I'm like, oh well, I got to stream, like I owe it to the people that watch me. Granted, it's at right now it's a low number, but like I feel pretty shitty about that. And I can't help to think like, if I wasn't streaming, would I have spent more time building relationships, romantic relationships that I've had in that during that time? Would I have put more effort into going to see family? Would I be in this position right now? Right? Like, could I have changed things? And I think that's what I find so weird about life, right? Because we'll never know the impact that we have on our surrounding environment, or what would have happened if we would have done this rather than this. And I think for me, like that is one of the things that I'm struggling with the most, which might sound kind of selfish, but like, what if I would have been able to spend more time with them? Like we can't stop somebody from dying, but we can change the experience that they have leading up to that. You know, maybe I wouldn't have felt so depressed during that time or so anxious. I don't know. These are all things that I'm thinking about over the last few days, and can't help but to notice a trend of finding myself continually putting my passions first. And I don't know that that's a healthy way to approach things. I also don't think that pain therapy and tattoos is a healthy way to cope by any means. But at the end of the day, life gave me the opportunity to be able to talk to my grandfather on Sunday through everything. And I wasn't left thinking, what was my last interaction with him? And that's where I think I'm spending so much time trying to figure out, like, could I have done something different? Maybe. Well, if I would have done something differently, could that have changed the course and made things happen earlier? Like, what if they would have gotten COVID because of me? So I think we find ourselves in situations that we may not ever understand the reasoning behind things. I think we find ourselves being allotted, and if you're religious, I don't find myself to be a very religious individual, but little blessings in life, or blessings that come about without us really knowing that's what they are. And so I'm very thankful that I was able to talk to him on Sunday. And yes, I am emotionally and mentally drained from this experience. I have cried so much over the last 4 days, um, that I feel dehydrated. And, it's crazy because I never would have thought this day would have come. Like, it feels so unreal. And if you've lost somebody in your life that you're close with, it often doesn't seem real at all. And for somebody that was more of a dad to me than my own dad at times, it's hard to reconcile that. And I frankly just I don't know what's next. Like, there are so many things that I'm thinking about that I'm scared that's gonna happen. But I think out of everything, it's made me understand that, you know, we need to put time in the people that we love and that put time into us and provide better experiences for us than others or other things. I can only find so much joy in playing video games, but I found a lot of joy spending time with my grandparents. So is what I enjoy doing keeping me from doing other things that I enjoy doing? Are things that you're doing keeping you from enjoying other things that you enjoy doing? Are you picking to do certain things over doing other things because it's your typical day-to-day thing, right? Like for example, I play video games every single day, and that's just been for me like that's kind of my escape from a lot of things. I get to spend time with like I said the two people that I feel like I love the most um in my life at times. Um and that's great. But when does our everyday norm get in the way of us doing other things? Like I feel like I've found myself in this cycle every single day trying to figure out if that's what I'm supposed to be doing or should be doing. And I don't know. There's a lot of stuff in life that I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that's gonna happen that I don't know. But what I do know is that you need to invest in the people you care about and invest in the people that care about you. That's might seem, you know, like self-explanatory, but like it's the truth. I learned a lot from my grandpa, and I have so many memories from him that I'm going to carry on for a long time, and there are going to be things that he taught me that I'm going to teach my children if that comes. But there are also things that he taught me that I use with my friends and other people in my life. That's the impact that he had. I am a better person because of him. And yeah, I'm always going to regret not being able to see them during the past year. But I'm thankful that I was able to have that conversation with him before he passed. And we never know when people we care about are going to leave our lives. So keep those interactions intentional. You know, let the people know around you that you care about them, that you love them. That might be your last. And that's a grim way to look at things, but life isn't always easy. It isn't. And so please care for the people that are close to you. Please treat people with respect. You know, life is way too short for a lot of things. And I think about my last podcast, and I think about as I posted on Facebook, one of the comments that I got was that nobody cares about my snowflake opinions. But apparently that person cared enough to comment. And while it hurt, like I still want them to find happiness in their life. You know, and that sometimes it's hard to do. And sometimes that's hard to admit, but everybody deserves happiness. Everybody deserves to be cared for and cared about. But that's what I'm going to leave you all on. Is treat people as if it were their last day because we just may never know. We get so consumed in the things that we want to do in our own lives and so consumed in our own timelines that we sometimes forget that there are people living here that aren't us. And while I think it's important to pursue the things that you want to pursue in life, it's also important for you to treat people around you with civility and care. So, YouTube, on that note, thank you for watching. I know that this isn't always an easy topic, but understand that there are people in your life that care about you and that love you. Until our next episode, please treat people nicely. Please love them for the love of humankind. We'll see you next time.